Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Jaguar F-Type in multiplayer in Asphalt 9. I just made a video on the GTR Nismo, supposedly the worst car of A-Class, so I decided it would be a good time to do a video on the supposedly worst B-Class car, and hopefully show that worst in class does not necessarily mean bad car. Now, I've fully maxed the F-Type aside from epic import parts, which I do not have any of, and I'm not even sure if you could have gotten any at this point. All races in this video were recorded in the full ahead season, in which you could not lose any rating but could only gain, and I'll explain a bit about that later in the video. And all races are sequential except for this very first one, which was recorded a bit earlier than the other ones. In this race, we are facing two other Jaguar F-Types as well as three Asterions. Now, the Jaguar is actually faster than the Asterion by a couple miles per hour. The Jaguar goes 219 and the Asterion goes 217, I believe it is. These are both at 4 stars and maxed as far as normal people can take them. So why was the Jaguar F-Type put so low on the best and worst cars list? Well, there are probably two reasons. While this car has the same speed as the Asterion, and its acceleration is pretty good at 4 stars, as is its drifting and handling, its nitro efficiency is still really bad. And at lower ranks, with lower stars, it is really bad. So you really don't get to feel a good Jaguar F-Type until you 4-star it. When fully maxed, this car might very well move up the list a little. I'm not sure about that, but one reason I do want to really remake that best and worst cars list is because I've got a lot more information since then. People have maxed more cars, so we can see how they really deal at Max Pro instead of at lower stars. There's a bunch of different things that we can take into account now. And in this race, we have beaten those 3 Asterions. Now for the 5 sequential races. In this first one, we are facing one Asterion, as well as Le Mans Electrolyte, who has been a longtime member of Purple Team, and who I finally got to meet in Asphalt 9 multiplayer. He is in a Porsche 911, so I was thinking, how is this going to go? Because the Porsche 911 is slower than the Jaguar by quite a bit, but it has better nitro efficiency, and I guess I've always sort of considered the Jaguar F-Type, Porsche 911, and Aston Martin DB11 to be fairly close in terms of performance. But after maxing this car, I can say that it would probably beat both of them. Not on nitro efficiency reliant tracks, but on a lot of them for sure, because it does have pretty good acceleration, and its top speed is quite good, so yeah. I'm honestly fairly impressed with how it performed compared to what I was expecting to happen. I was sort of expecting it to be a lot like the Ford GT is now. The Ford GT is one of those cars that got nerfed and now has really bad everything except top speed. I just didn't realize this car had good drifting and acceleration. Now, this is really only at 4 stars. Again, at lower stars, it's not that great, so you might not want to use it much until you max it. But anyways, here we go around the final turn. As you can see, its drifting is pretty good at max, and the car right behind us is the 911, which is driven by Electrolyte. If you're watching this, it was good to finally race you in Asphalt 9. So we finished this race in first position, but this next race is not going to be quite so easy, because we are on Himalayas against 5 Asterions. Now, the fact that it's on Himalayas probably gives this car maybe a slight advantage, not necessarily over the Asterions, but over what it might have on other tracks, because this is a top speed oriented track, and this car has a slightly higher top speed than the Asterion. I would still say that the Asterion is definitely a better car than the F-Type. Anyone who has driven both can probably attest to that. But on tracks like Himalayas, which are very top speed oriented, those top speed cars are the ones that will often be able to pull out the victories. But we will see what happens in this race. The car right there ahead of us is actually an Exotic Rides W70, which I drove in this full ahead season, and it was surprisingly good. It's like a slightly worse Asterion from what I've seen, but somehow it's managing to stay ahead when all those Asterions are quite far behind. So this guy was a very good driver. I've met him some times before, and yeah, it's always fun to race him because, well, he's quite skilled. And it's even more surprising that the W70 was able to do this on Himalayas of all tracks. I have actually 3-starred my W70, and I believe my DB11 as well, so let me know if you'd like to see updated videos of those. I really am not too keen on making them simply because I did them both at 2 stars, and I'm not sure if there'd be a huge difference between 2 and 3 stars, and I like focusing more on cars that I haven't made videos of before. So here we come in second, behind that W70, but ahead of those 5 Asterions. Now for a race on what is probably my least favorite Rome track. Our main competition are 3 Porsche 911s. Now, the reason I say this is probably my least favorite Rome track, and quite possibly a lot of your least favorite ones too, is number one, it's very narrow at the beginning and you can get pushed around a lot, and number two, this place here with all the spinning is a very probable place for knockdowns to happen. So here I'd take what I believe to be the best route, fly past a lot of people, and land on the number one guy, who was a DSE tent, so I would probably have passed him anyway. That car is just quite slow compared to this one. But I would say that one great thing about this car is that in seasons such as this one, where there weren't a lot of super high ranked cars, at least with lower ratings, once you got ahead, you could pretty much stay ahead and you wouldn't have to worry about people catching up to you because there wasn't really any car low that could keep up with this car in terms of speed. And that is where the top speed cars really shine. If you can get ahead of people, you can usually stay ahead. Now, if it's slipstream, it may be a little bit more difficult, and probably in a slipstream season, this car would not be very good because it has bad nitro efficiency, which is really not good if you're trying to stay in front at the same speed as people behind you, because even if you have other ones of these on your tail, once you run out of nitro, which happens quite often, they'll just be catching up to you by riding your slipstream. So yeah, this car may be best used in non-slipstream seasons. So there we've gotten first fairly easily, but now we're facing some Asterions again. These were probably the hardest cars that I faced at this rating in this season. And I said I would talk a bit about the full ahead season. So this is something that people had actually been asking for, a season where you did not drop rating and you could just go up, because people got tired of losing points, and that was understandable. However, this turned into a season where basically just the people who played more were the ones who ended up getting a higher rating, which was not very good for the more skilled players who may not have 24 hours a day to play. It was simply a non-skill based season at all. Here I accidentally fall off because of hitting the inside, which was quite annoying because this way is really bad. So back to what I was saying about the season, it was simply not skill based at all to get to the top positions, you just had to play all day, and I ended up that season at about 2,000 rank on the multiplayer leaderboards, which is a far cry from my usual top 100. Also, it was not just not skill based, it was also boring, because when you could literally never lose, there wasn't much of a risk factor, let's say, to keep people interested. I know people hate losing points and all, but when it literally cannot happen, there's not much of a satisfaction that comes from winning when everybody goes up. Even last place always went up one rating, which caused another problem where people would just make bots to race their cars for them and go up a few rating per race, even if they didn't drive very well, but they'd let it play all day, and thus they'd be able to rack up a lot of rating. So it was an interesting idea for a season, but I hope they don't do it again anytime soon. So there we knocked down somebody not far before the finish line to come in second, and we got beat by one Asterion, but we did beat another one. Now for the final race of the video, which is on Scotland, which is another fairly good track for the high top speed oriented cars, because there's a lot of ramps and a lot of straight places, which is where the Jaguar does best. So now it's time for my general review about the car. I'm honestly not sure exactly where it should go in Class B in terms of overall performance. I don't know if it should be last place though, because its speed is good, its acceleration is pretty good, and its drifting is pretty good. Its nitro efficiency is however lacking, so that causes some problems. But at max, it's definitely better than a lot of people give it credit for, because pretty much everybody was saying this car is trash. It's really not trash, just not the best. So we are catching up on this guy in first place here. He is a Lamborghini Asterion, which remember we are 2 miles per hour faster than. Now we managed to get through the ship with a bit more speed than he does, and then we go up the barrel roll with again more speed and land on him. Unfortunately, don't knock him down, but we do manage to get around the final turn slightly ahead of him, slightly to the inside, and come in first position. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video and subscribe for more Asphalt 8 and 9 content, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye! Take me by the wheel and I'll show you. Push it to the floor and I'll show you all the moves like Jaguar. I've got the moves like Jaguar. I've got the moves like Jaguar. Remind me not to do anything like that ever again. Don't worry guys, the Asphalt 9 music video that I'm working on will be a lot better.